Well, hello, y'all. My name's Derek. These are the life and times of me. And I'm going to go back sometimes I remember growing up as a kid. And I will be going to these places and filming where I started my life. And I will try to edit all these things together and try to figure out how to do it. But growing up as a kid, the first time I remember as a kid is living on Evelyn Street. That's as far as I can go back and remember as a kid. We lived in a place off of La Vista Road, Tucker. I guess that's Tucker. I don't know. That's not Tucker. No, La Vista, North Lake area, North Lake Mall area. We lived on a road. It was called Evelyn Street, and it's not far from North Lake Mall. It's not that far, but I remember living there, growing up as a kid. It was on a little gravel road, and I was a Benton. I will get to that point that y'all understand, because my name is Welch now. But me and my brother and my sister, we grew up there. Well, we didn't grow up there. We just started my life anyways that I remember back as far as I can remember living there. I might get my brother to come on here and do some, but this is how we grew up. I call this the life and times of DERICK Welch. Time I started growing up. We lived in a decent little house. It was a nice little house for that time. It had quite a little bit of land around it. And it was good times and bad times. See, we had and I know my sister will probably be mad about this, but we had a guy, her dad, he didn't mind slapping my mom around, none at all. She got out of hand with him, he would smack her, backhand her, do whatever. And he would, if we got out of hand, he wouldn't mind backhanding us neither. Me and my brother. And I tell you, you'll understand that when you get to my other points. But we had our fun times. Christmas, we always had Christmas. I mean, when we were there at that place, when he decided not when you get off work, go drink at the bar, come in stumbling and drunk, and her and my mom get into it, fussing, whatever. But me and my brother, we would sit out there. Out front, we had this little jungle gym thing. You know, the little thing you climb up on is kind of rounded. It was out there. We played with that and junk like that. I had a Batman mobile. It was one of those ones you pedal, and it was a Batman car. And used to have these little holes in the ground, and I always liked to drive. I've always dreamed of driving as a kid. So we dig out a little spot and we'd play house, with Christy and Greg and all. And you get stuck in the ditch, like I've seen people do, get stuck in the ditch, backing out of their driveways and stuff. Yeah, I remember that. We had fun. I went to, I didn't go to kindergarten there. I went to, what do y'all call it? Not nursery. Well, you know what I'm talking about. We went to that school. And then we lived there for a little while, and then Chris's dad get mad at my mom and something like that. And he had this Buick, big old long electric Buick. I mean, the big old long Buicks. It was nearly new, and they get a fuss, and he'd back up and run it into the damn house, hit the house with it. I remember that, bam, bam, and then every time we go over, he'd get up and go work for the county. Well, 2 nights later, we were in a hurry. We got packed up and stuff, and we left. My mama had a little old Chihuahua dog who didn't mind biting us. We took him with us. We went down to Savannah, Georgia, which was the first time I got to see the ocean. I remember that. Stayed in this motel. We played around in the pool and stuff. And then, Mom and Bill getting fights. And then we went out I-10. I remember riding across this big old bridge out there in Louisiana, whatever, and go across the Mississippi. And we ended up in a place called Webster, Texas, out there. And see, my sister's daddy was a glazer. And if you don't know what a glazer is, a guy that replaces windows and puts windows in the buildings and houses and junk like that. Glass company. They call them glazers. And that's what he was. We went out there. We lived there for a while. Worst thing about that area out there, I think it was Webster, it come a little rain, you have flooded all the time. We lost a bike. It washed one of our bikes away and stuff. We lived there for a while, and then my mom, I remember we stayed in this apartment, and I run my little Tonka truck down the steps, just for the hell of it, how you do that. And our apartment's right there, and it has these big old glass windows, right? Well, Tonka trucks today are made out of little plastic things. Well, our Tonka trucks, when we were kids, they were made out of steel. Well, and that thing went down that damn step, and it turned and went into that glass window. Yeah, I got my ass bruised up pretty bad from Mr. William Guy Bitten. Yeah, it's a good thing he's a glazer. He fixed it for free, he fixed it. But yeah, this one right into that thing. I remember that. I remember getting my ass handed to me. He had this belt that had these little rings on them, where up close to the buckle, you have the double things go in. Well, it had the rings around them. He bust my ass with those things. He whooped my ass with both of them. Had whelps up on me. I remember those. It's painful and stuff. And then him and my mom decided to break up. We got put on a Greyhound bus coming from Texas back to Atlanta, Georgia. And we went and stayed with my great aunt and over there off North Druid Hills Road. See, she was a rich woman. She had a lot of money. You live on, I don't know if y'all from Atlanta, but the North Druid Hills and West Roxboro area, that back in the 70s, that was rich neighborhood. That were all rich people lived there. And that's where she lived at. See, she had that money when she used to own a big old flower farm down in Fayetteville, Georgia, and stuff. Ended up selling it after, I guess, her and her husband, when they moved up there to off North Druid Hills area there in Atlanta. And we lived there for a little bit. And my Uncle Louis came, we went and stayed at his house because he lived right there in Atlanta. He had a shop there in Atlanta. And we stayed down there close to, stayed at their house over there close to Grant Park. I think that's where it about is. My brother could tell you differently. And then, well, we moved from there. And because Lou and him decided it was going to be a good deal. Move us to these houses, governmental houses. Mama got it, governmental. I lived on welfare when we were growing up as a kid, but when we were young. We lived in these, they were run down governmental houses, which I didn't mind. It was just a house, We lived right across the street from the zoo, the Atlanta Zoo. we're right across the street, actually, from Grant Park. But then you had, it was like a rock throw to the zoo. It's just right down through there. We lived there, and that's when I went to this school. I think it was in first or second grade. No, I might have been, first, I think, first grade. Went to the school, and I was the only white kid in my class. And you want to talk about, well, I was the only white kid in my class. I just want to tell you. I was the only white one. Wasn't very many, I don't even think there was any white people in that whole thing. It was a school that went from like kindergarten, or actually first grade to 12th. There's a 12-story high building, big old tall building. We walked to it, and I cried all the way. I hated going to school. And, as a kid, I cried because you don't know nobody. I'm a big baby, big old baby. Didn't want to go. It was hard to get me into school. Hated it there. All them black people looking at you, and calling you names, and didn't want to get to know you at all. Didn't even want to talk to you. And I hated that damn school and stuff. And then we was there for a little while, and then we ended up moving over to a little street called Key Street there in Atlanta. I don't know exactly what little town that is there, but we lived over there. And we used to walk everywhere. And Mama didn't know how to drive. She couldn't drive because Chris's daddy would keep her from driving all the time. And it was rough, And we walked all over the place, go get groceries and stuff. Sometimes Uncle Louie would come get us drunk, but most of the time, no. Mama would get this guy that we used to know when we lived on Eleanor Street. He worked at it was a Gulf gas station, but they did mechanic work there too. And he used to always help Mama out a lot when Chris's daddy ended up in jail for drinking or DUI or whatever. And then, we lived there for a while, right down below a mechanic place. So I used to go up there and talk to them people and junk, because, I was kind of interested in mechanic work then and stuff. I always liked cars, And then Mama decided to get back with Bill. Yeah. But, at that point, the way things went, I was kind of happy we got back with him, and stuff. Kind of look up to him. It's kind of bad now to say that, right? But I remember it was badass. He pulled up in he had a 70 model Chevrolet, square body Chevrolet. Had the sliding windows in the back and junk. And, we left from there and moved all the way to Decatur, Georgia. Nope. Jumping ahead. Sorry. We moved over to Lawrenceville off of Sweet Gum Road. There was a dairy farm there called Jim Dunnigan's Dairy Farm. Some of I've been by there. It's been like a couple years ago. The place where you milked the cows and all that, where the Atlanta dairies would come get the milk and stuff. It's still there, but we're across the street where all the pastures and stuff was. They're all subdivisions. And you got a subdivision called Jim Dunnigan's subdivision and stuff. And couldn't see the old lake we used to live in. We lived in this house. It was a center block house built up. It's kind of like in a square. Had 2 bedrooms and a living room and a kitchen and stuff. It was all walled off. You had to walk through and stuff. And it was a fun time. It was the funnest time I ever had with Bill.